Okay, so I know that in the past 4 days, I've made 2 Pokemon videos, which is definitely not something that's normal for me, for all of the reasons we know, because I'm not a big Pokemon fan. But with Pokemon Sword and Shield launching this weekend, and so much hype, so much excitement, and of course, so much controversy, that's why I felt I had to do it. I had 2 very interesting non-fan perspective conversations with you guys in those videos. I found them very fun to discuss from kind of an outsider's perspective. I got actually a really good positive response from you guys for the most part. Obviously, sharing your opinion on something so controversial with such a beloved franchise means you're going to get some negativity and negative feedback, but overall, that's okay. It wasn't anything too bad, and a lot of it was just honest criticism, and I have really no problems with that. But it was a lot of fun to do that, a lot of fun to discuss, and I thought that I was done talking about Pokemon until I finally pick up my own copy of Sword or Shield in the next couple of weeks once I'm done with Star Wars. However, I'm still seeing a lot going on with this game. This release still has so many people fighting with themselves, and there's the Metacritic debacle, and it's just crazy, and so I kind of felt like I wanted to give my opinion on what's going on one final time. I think that the reason I want to continue to talk about this and share my non-fan perspective is really the simple fact that the conversation just hasn't died yet. People are still talking about this, and like I already kind of alluded to here, people are still fighting about this. And I also hinted at the Metacritic situation, which is something that I want to talk about. Also, just kind of the conversations I see happening in comment sections and on Twitter about this game from fans. Half of the people on one side, half of the people on the other. People reacting very toxically in a lot of situations to some YouTube videos being made out there. If you're being very positive about the Pokemon situation, people are clapping back at you. If you're being pretty negative or critical about the Pokemon situation, the other people are clapping back at you. And I see both YouTubers who I'm familiar with and YouTubers who are friends of mine are getting this just nonsense thrown at them, and the Twitter conversations are crazy. And people on Twitter were even kind of responding to some of my tweets about it, saying that they don't think the game should be that controversial, and, you know, maybe it's best not to give attention to the people who are fighting about it. And I get that. I think that that actually makes sense. But I just continue to find this so fascinating, and I think it's also aided by the fact that I will be playing this as my first ever Pokemon game. Like, I'm still dedicated to picking up one of these games in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm honestly still excited, despite all the controversy and all the infighting that's happening in the Pokemon community over these games. I am still excited. And it's not that I'm excited because Pokemon necessarily, because, I've managed to make it 39 years into my life and not be into Pokemon. So it's not that I'm excited for the next Pokemon game. I'm excited to just see what a new beloved franchise will mean to me, and what I will take away from it with my own kind of critical analysis and my own critical eye when I experience whatever the heck is going on with Pokemon. In fact, a great example of this whole situation that I'm talking about are actually reactions in my own prior 2 videos, where I've stated and reminded people how I will still be picking up Pokemon Sword or Shield and playing it for my first ever game. People are so dedicated to one side or the other of this argument that a lot of people have said, gee, Rob, I feel bad for you that this will be your first Pokemon game. A lot of the people who are very negative and very, anti-Pokemon Sword and Shield, they have told me that they wish I wasn't playing this game. I mean, honestly, they're like, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. I loved it forever. And because I think Pokemon Sword and Shield look like crap, or because I've been playing it and it is crap, I'm really sad for you, Rob, that you'll be playing these games. You should not play these. You should play, Silver and Gold or whatever. And you should play X or Y or Black and White. Those are the ones you should play. Don't play Sword and Shield. And so that is just like such a great kind of testament in my eye to what's going on. And I'm learning a lot. I mean, making these 2 videos and seeing people's reactions in the comment sections to what I've said, even though it's mostly been positive, it's also teaching me a lot, because I'm getting an idea of the Pokemon community, of the Pokemon fan base, what you guys look for, what you guys like, and what you guys don't like for sure, and what people think of these games. And so it almost makes me more curious to play Pokemon Sword and Shield, because this is the game that has people so divided. I mean, and I tweeted about this today, literally just 3, 4, 5 months ago, everyone in the world was so excited for these games. People weren't paying attention as much to the graphic controversy, and they were just like, the graphics don't look that great, but the game's going to be great because it's the new Pokemon and it's finally on a console. And then just in these last few months, all of these things happened. All of these things changed the situation. And so everyone's just losing their minds. In fact, we can turn our sights here to the Metacritic situation a little bit. Something that most of my fellow YouTubers have actually already had a chance to cover in the last 2 days. My last video was, of course, about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, because that's what I'm focused on right now, and it's what I'm playing, and it's amazing, by the way. You should watch my video on it. So, you know, ever since my last 2 videos, it's been a break from the Pokemon stuff, but this Metacritic thing happened with the user scores, and so everyone's been talking about it. You've probably heard this conversation already from many people, but I do still want to kind of chime in and give you guys my 2 cents here. Because what's happened is the reviews came out a couple of days before the game launched. The reviews are mostly very positive. We now have a Metacritic score, and as of right now, when I'm recording this, the Metacritic for both games is at an 81. And then you have the user scores. And to nobody's surprise, the game has been review bombed, as we like to say. And I think, you know, yesterday, the user scores on Metacritic were, I think, like 3.8. Or 3.9. Right now, one of the games has gone up just a little bit. So one of the games is at a 4.0 as of right now. The other one is at a 3.9. I don't remember which. I think Sword is at a 4.0 and Shield is at a 3.9, but that's just because that doesn't really mean anything. It's still a review bomb, and it's still going to showcase that these aggregate sites, when something happens that's controversial, it's happened with movies, it's happened with games before. Now we're seeing it happen with Pokemon. Everyone takes their frustrations out on the user scores of an aggregate website. And the problem I see with it isn't so much that people need to voice their opinion. It's the fact that a review score on a website is the way that they do it. And the problem is the optics of it. The problem is what it adds to the conversation. And honestly, I might even argue more what it's taking away from the conversation when people just go crazy saying, oh, just give games 0s and 1s because I'm mad at it for XYZ reason, and I'm not willing to see it on its own merits. I just need to tell everyone this game sucks, so here's my score. Now, obviously, as a non-fan and somebody who has yet to play the game, I'm not here to say if somebody's low score of a game is actually right or wrong. If somebody feels a game is bad, I don't care what the franchise is. If you feel it, you should feel that way. You should share it. If you go to a Metacritic, you should make your review the way you want and give the score you want to give it if it's a sincere, real score. Obviously, the difference is when people just kind of go on this mass situation where they try to go overboard for the sake of trying to make a point. And it's not the most damaging thing because it's only a user score and we can all kind of see through it. It's very transparent when this happens. But it still does change the conversation, and it still does. It's more of just a showcase of how people are reacting than people's true feelings on the game. In this case, I think most of us know that these low scores for Pokemon Sword and Shield, the user scores, not the real scores, we know that it's coming from a huge amount of people that probably have not played the game. Some of them, I'm sure, are genuine and sincere, okay? So if you're somebody who gave a 2.0 score for Pokemon on Metacritic, and it's because you did play the game and you feel it's a 2.0, I'm not talking about you. But for all of these other people, whatever percentage it is that just didn't even play the game, they were already mad at it, so they already had their mind made up, who went to just throw arbitrary made-up review score numbers out there, you're the people I'm talking about. That's the thing. And it's, you know, I'm obviously not mad at it because I'm not invested in this franchise or these games, but as I've said in the past 2 videos, I just find it interesting that this is the way things are playing out. Pokemon is one of the biggest, most successful, most popular, most beloved franchise in all of gaming, and obviously within Nintendo's kind of exclusive pantheon and library of franchises. It's freaking Pokemon, man. Pokemon is a monster, no pun intended, when it comes to gaming, popularity, game sales. Oh my god, look at all the previous Pokemon games. Look at even the controversial ones like Let's Go Pokemon. Look at Pokemon Go. These things are cash cows. They sell like crazy. And people usually end up liking them. And a good thing to remind ourselves here is, without a doubt, despite the controversy and people's kind of vitriol towards these games, Pokemon Sword and Shield, you guys, no matter how much you may hate it, it's going to sell. It's going to break records. It's going to sell over 10 million copies. It might even sell 15 or 20. Who even freaking knows? It's just, that's what's going to happen. And so for the Pokemon fans who probably hate these games, it probably bothers you, the truth of that. I would imagine that these games are going to do really well. And I can't help you with that. I can't tell you if it's the right way or the wrong way to feel. That's up to you to decide as the adult I assume you are. For me, it's just another example of kind of how far this whole conundrum has gone. And I think that, to kind of just summarize my, little random conversation I'm having with you guys here, I still just want this game to be good. I think that's something that maybe I've been feeling this whole time, and now that I said that out loud, maybe that's why I even wanted to make this extra one final Pokemon video before I actually discuss it after I've played it, is the fact that I kind of just... Again, I have no investment in the franchise, so this isn't coming from like a fanboy kind of perspective, but I do hate to see controversy like this, and I hate to see a franchise, even if it's one I don't care about, be so shat on by its own fan base and community, Maybe the games deserve it. I mean, I won't take away the fact that maybe what they've done truly is so offensive that it deserves this. But I tend to think that it doesn't deserve it to this degree, just a guess. And I don't like seeing something great fall. It's just not interesting to me. I know that human nature is, we want to see people fail. We want to see people get in trouble. We want to see things, go under. Like it's the car wreck analogy. Like you can't help but go rubberneck when you see a car wreck. Everyone wants to double take and slow down to watch it. It's not because we're glad somebody maybe got hurt in a car accident. It's because it's just the human brain is fascinated by the tragedy. And I think that the same applies with something a little bit more benign and not important, like the popularity of a video game franchise. Because in the grand scheme of life, it's not a big deal if Pokemon Sword and Shield are loved or not. It's just a video game franchise, and it's going to be successful no matter what. But I think that because people get so invested in seeing something like this just fall apart, it makes me sad. I don't really share that to the same degree, because it's like, if something is good and loved, I just want to see it do well, and I want to see people be happy, and I want to see Pokemon fans have a good Pokemon game, It kind of makes me sound like a hippie, but I just feel that way. So I don't know. That's just kind of what I want to see happen. And so at this point, like I've already kind of hinted at here, this will probably be the last time I talk about Pokemon until I play it. I will be playing it soon. I'm excited to try it, and I'll be very curious to see what the game is like, and I'll be giving you my honest impressions and make like a month late review or a month late kind of impression, from the non-fan perspective, as I tend to give these. And I'll actually have my first ever true hands-on experience with the game. And because it's this game, it's the controversial game, it's the game that half the people love and half the people hate, and everyone's fighting. Picture like a war zone, and you got the two sides clashing into each other. I'm going to be the weird guy in the middle, just making the most honest opinion. If I hate the game, like I said in my last video, I will tell you that I hate the game. If I think it's bad, if it's not appealing to me, if I think it's whatever, I'll be honest. If I think it's amazing and wonderful and how could anyone hate it, I'll share that opinion. If I think it's just okay, which my prediction is that, I feel like I'll probably walk away from it thinking like, yeah, this is fine. It's good. It's not great. It's not terrible. And if I feel that way, that's what I'll say. I have no incentive to lean one way or the other here. I'm really just excited to, in my late 30s, finally try this franchise for the first time. And seeing how people feel about my opinion because this game is so divisive will be pretty fascinating. It's going to be a very interesting experiment, but I can only be honest. Pokemon's never appealed to me. So if anything, I'm kind of going in with the game already working against itself, because I've never been into the idea of Pokemon, the franchise, the story, the characters, the idea. It's a little bit too cutesy cuddly. As I've said before, I just turned 39 a couple of months ago. So when Pokemon hit the States and the show was out there and kids were getting excited and then the games came out on the Game Boy, I was already like a late teenager. Like it just missed me by about 4 or 5 years as far as something that could have grabbed me as a kid. And so I was at that age where I needed to be too cool to be into something like a cartoon show made for kids, And so that's how I felt about it when I was, I don't know, 16 or 17 or whatever it came out in the States. It just wasn't, I wasn't into it. And as I've grown up, I've never been into it either. So I already am like, I don't really care about pocket monsters. It's not interesting to me now. But I will be giving this game a fair shot, and I will be very happy to tell you if I think it's amazing. I would love to tell you it's great. So I guess we'll see. And with that, I think the video's a wrap. I think my convo's a wrap. Like I said, we're done now until I've actually played the game. So this is what I feel about the controversy and the review bombing and people's reactions and everybody's fighting. I made 3 videos on this Pokemon topic. Shocking. I never thought that I was going to do it, but I just had this last little bit of stuff that I needed to say and get out to you guys. So tell me what you think about my thoughts here and my opinions, this conversation. Does it resonate with you, whether it's good or bad and you agree or disagree? Does it make any sense? Do you feel anything here? Or maybe this becomes a video that everyone hates and dislikes like crazy, and maybe I said all the wrong things to you guys. I don't know, but this is how I feel. So now you know. Talk about it below, and with that, this video is a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob, Overlooked to Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.